Good morning, everybody. Happy April 28th. Happy Friday, TGIF. Final trading day of April. Welcome to MarketStream.live. My name is Joseph Cusick with the Cusick Group Securities offered by MoneyBlock. This is where we're going to check about everything that's going on in Europe and the global economic data, global earnings story continues. As a matter of fact, we had quite a bit of Eurozone data that did come out this morning. You had a CPI, that Consumer Price Index. It came out hotter than expected for the Eurozone at 1.9%. You also saw the money supply, the M3, come out. It's up 5.3%. Expectations were closer to 4.7%. Watching this inflation number start to creep up, especially ahead of what expectations are, and the increase in money supply, that has me scratching my head after the ECB, the European Central Bank, came out yesterday and said, yes, things are looking good. Yes, we see some inflation, but we don't think that we're going to steer away from our current course of quantitative easing. And they're going to keep that as a policy tool. Well, I'm scratching my head when I see this kind of data. So we're going to see how the markets react to this, especially after the ECB statements yesterday and now seeing this hotter than expected data. Taking a look, though, at the German index, it's currently trading down 0.2, actually flat, basically down 40 cents at 12,445. This has been an impressive week for the German index. You've seen a lot of mixed trade, but really what's firmed up now early in the session at the end of this trading week and end of trading month for April, which you can see has been in the bull camp. They have not been tested. They looked to prepare to test that 20-day moving average, but never got to that level. Gapped up this morning, this week. Gapped up this week without a challenge to that 20-day. Bulls are clearly in control, and we're trading now right off of the best levels of the session for the week. And this is a weekly chart that we're looking at here on the DAX. Let's see if that continues for the remainder of the session. But the DAX has been extremely positive to the upside, especially after the primary French vote happened, and now we have the final runoff coming up in next week. That should add plenty of volatility, especially somehow, some way, Marie Le Pen starts picking up in the polls. In the DAX, though, watch the financials and the automakers. They've been moving to the upside all session. They are showing some promise. We'll see if they finish the day to the upside. We'll watch that going into the noon hour, 1 o'clock hour Eastern time. Taking a look at the FTSE in the UK, continue to see that there is some mixed reaction after earnings. And specifically, you're seeing that the FTSE is down 18, good for 0.25% down at 72.1420. What's notable here is that I saw Barclays reported worse than expected earnings, and stock's down 5.5%. Watch the financial names there. The sector is under pressure right now. That's putting pressure on the market. Now, of course, down 0.25% is not the biggest deal in the world, but you can clearly see that right now, if you can't get a push of significance, or if you get a challenge of that 7,200 level, that's a challenge to the 20-day moving average. We saw that happen last week. Let's see if we finish the week above that 7,200 level in the UK. That's going to be an important level for the bulls to hold, and that's looking at the weekly chart. Looking at the French CAC, right now you're seeing that the CAC is trading up 0.17%, almost 0.2%, up 870 at 52.80. What's notable here is that the pop. You see that pop after the first vote on the 23rd. Macron and Le Pen are now the two candidates. You're going to have the final runoff vote on May 7th. You're going to see some potential more volatility going into next week, but Macron, which is more of the centrist candidate, is still up in the polls. We'll watch that very closely. A lot of discussions going to happen over the weekend, early into next week. But right now you're seeing automakers and financials. They're to the upside. Now, what is notable as far as a specific stock is Airbus. Airbus is down. We've seen some underperformance in that sector, Boeing most notable. Also, struggling right now in the U.S. markets, but still, you're seeing that the French markets have rebounded and never really tested that 20-day moving average. So the bulls have not really been tested, and they definitely still have control in France as well. We're going to see how everything shakes out going into the end of the day, especially with this hotter than expected CPI data, as well as the larger than expected money supply number, the M3 number. All right, folks, that's it right now for On the Open. Taking a look at Europe, you could see that we have mixed action between Asia and Europe now. We'll see what's going to happen in the United States. It looks like right now the U.S. markets are poised to open up to the upside, but we'll see it's basically upside to flat. Let's see how we shake out here. The GDP numbers have come out. They're pretty much so in line with expectations, a little bit lower than expected on the deflator, but we'll have to watch this very closely. There's some out of the ballpark earnings last night and some large cap tech. So we'll see how that actually pans out in the markets, which we see right now are at all-time highs. So join me, 9:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 Central, right here on MarketStream.live.